How's it going?
Yeah.
So say something.
Yeah.
How's it? Gav here from the old Parakao store, and this week we've done a bit on the old chassis. We've got it into a roller, and we've been getting the track ready for the drags on Saturday. This drags will be run by the NSRA, so they've probably got a few more rules than us, not many though. I think helmet, seat belts, scrutiny of the cars. But it's their deal, they're running it. Found a new bonnet emblem for the old desk. The big news this week is that our government's decided to make us not let anyone in that hasn't been doubly vaxxed. So that's an absolute nightmare for us. I don't agree with it, but I've got to do it. I don't have a choice. Well, I do have a choice. I could shut my business and go broke. So that's the choice. So this motor here is free. This one we're going to check out, but we'll think this one's going to go. Don't know why. This is the motor we're going to stick in the 30 Plymouth. I'm just looking for a 4-barrel manifold. The timing chains had it. The motor without whipping the heads off doesn't look too bad. There's a few little bits in the bottom of the pan, which is the timing gear, I would say, and the bores look pretty good. So we're just going to wang some new frost plugs in it. I've just ordered them up. We've got to wait for them to get here. A gasket set, change some frost plugs, and we've got to get a new harmonic balancer, because these were just imported from the States as runners, and they just pull them out of cars with a fork hoist or something and rip the engine mounts out. They don't even unbolt them and they throw them in. Full a container up, ship them over here. So we're just hunting down a new harmonic balancer. Mate Paul found us an auto that's apparently a runner. So he's not sure, but it was given it as a runner that someone ripped it out and put a 4-speed in. And a whole lot of other goodies, starter motors, fuel pumps, generators. So I think we've got pretty much enough to, well, we've definitely got enough to mock it up, which is all we really want to do now. But we want to mock it up in there and then potentially start it up and give it a crank and see if she runs and whether it's got to be rebuilt. So this motor here looks potentially in better condition, but when we ran the numbers, this is a 69 motor, and according to Uncle Google, it was 230 to 260 horsepower, and this is a 75 motor, and they were only 150 horsepower. So on that alone, we decided we'd give this one a try. So while we're waiting for parts and bits and pieces for the motor, we'll work on getting that front end sorted out and mounting the diff. We went up and got this 1930 diff. We flipped the suspension over and we were looking at it, and this is how it was set up on Rob's 38 Chev, and he reckoned it was just dangerous. Right, got the 39 front end in, hopefully around the right way. And so now we're going to take the steering arm off. I've actually rack and pinion steering, I haven't got yet, but I'm just going to put this one on anyway so we can move it around. But yeah, I might go to rack and pinion yet. I'll just wait and see. But yeah, Rob said his whole 38 handled like shit with that in there. And you give it shit, 100 mile an hour button off, and she'd go shoot all over the road. And generally that's because of the caster and the wheels. And so these sit on a bit of an angle, and having that around the wrong way would probably put the caster out. But yeah, I don't profess to know everything about steering geometry and everything, but I know that if you shim the back of these springs and tilt your I-beam, it'll take that diff wobble out when you button off. And it's sort of a thing you got to play around with at the end. But I imagine that I-beam being the wrong way around would have to have something to do with that. But anyway, I wanted to put this front end in because of these pins for the shock tower, so I can put telescopic shocks on it. And yeah, we'll change all those discs and steering arms around and get onto the diff. So if you want to put disc brakes on a 38 I-beam, you've got to make this little spacer, turn that up, and that spaces your disc out on the shaft, and it makes that outer bearing fit on there and the thread work. And then you've got to make yourself one of these, which is a pretty easy bit of kit. And then like that, and that holds your disc. I can see a little bit of a problem. Stop. It's going to hit, so it's not going to get the same lock. But to my way of thinking, the caster is way more important than the bump stop, so I'm just going to alter that bump stop so it gets back to the same position, which I think is as easy as just a bit of grinding. Right, we got the disc brakes on. The 39 stubs are obviously slightly different. They won't quite take up on the bearing, so I'm not going to worry about it too much right now. It'll be just a matter of measuring it up and machining down the stub a little bit for the outer bearing, I think. We'll just have to make sure where the caliper sits right first. But no biggie, we can make bigger spacer or lay down the spindle. So that's pretty much it. I've got a rack and pinion steering that I think I might use, so we're just going to use this for now, so I can use it for a roller till I get the rack back here, and then just see, we'll take that out. It's pretty much the same setup. We'll just have to weld some little brackets and maybe put the rods off the top instead of underneath, and as long as it's got clearance on the springs, I think it can be done. But anyway, before we do a steering box, we'll have a look at that. It might be a lot easier too for getting around the engine, but we need to get the engine sitting in there before we tackle steering. So right, back end in. Finished boxing in the back, and I had to make little gussets that went underneath the cross member, but dig out some springs, mount the diff. Should be in business. Right, so we're just going to measure from end to end, and I've got some 39 springs out. Right, this shed's just a bit of a dumping ground. There's all sorts in here. I've got a whole set of springs and shit of 29, another 29 chassis, 28 cowlings, just all sorts of stuff. But these are the 39 springs, shackles, so we'll give them a measure up, see what this is. Well, believe it or not, those are the ones that will fit. They're the right distance. The 29 Chev ones. I'm hoping I've got some that are off the vehicle, because these are going to be an absolute nightmare to get out of here. Anyway, I'll keep looking. I'm up on a stack of shit here. I've got like springs, and I've just got front axles, Chev ones, I-beams, engine blocks, 29, whole heap of Vauxhall parts. So the only decent shocks I've got, springs that fit, are the ones in this back shed, so we're just going to have to try and get the buggers out. Well, I'm underneath this big pile of stuff. I've stacked a few heads under the back of the chassis, crawled under here. I managed to get the springs out. I was going to knock that pin out. And what a mission that we're getting out. Right, we're going to have to shift the centre in this rim, bring it out a bit further so it fits the hub. Gives us the right offset, so it's just welded in a few places, so I'm going to try and zip cut them off and knock it out. About an hour later, we've got the centre out of the rim. A lot of grinding and hammering, so we're going to fit it on the hub and then work out where our rim fits the best. Right, well, we got it into a roller. Those backwards and forwards. We had to move the centres in to get them to fit the hubs. We'll just tack them in there for now. And still got to do put new bushes in the springs and pull the springs down and clean them all up, and I might take some out and make it a bit lighter, but I'm not sure until I get the body on how much weight's going to be in it. So we're going to have to cut that centre yoke out and maybe change it around or put it on an angle. But we'll wait till we get the motor in. I'll cut the bottom one out and then get the motor sitting in there. And then we're going to put the motor where we think we want it, and then line the body up. I want to get the motor back as far as we can in it. Yeah, she's getting it done, coming along. So now we're going to clean up the motor. That'll be the next video, I think. We'll get that motor and gearbox cleaned up, assembled to some degree, enough so we can get it sat in there and make some engine mounts and maybe get the body on there. It's a bit hard to see in here, but I'm trying to get the picture. I think the stance is going to be pretty good. I'm not into those real lowered thing. I think the back wheel should be proportionate in the wheel arch, and using the old 30 diff, it's moved the wheels close to the chassis, but we're going to tub the back of this anyway, so that'll automatically get rid of the rustiest part of this back end.